Alright then everyone, hello and welcome to the 16th round of the NEF1 Championship at a rainy Interlagos, Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and this is maybe going to be the most anticlimactic end that we have ever had to an NEF1 Drivers' Championship discussion. Now, let's lay all the cards on the table. If Matti does not win tonight, Djokovic will be crowned NEF1 champion. If Djokovic wins, well, that's obvious. If Djokovic wins, he'll be crowned NEF1 champion. If Matti wins and Djokovic scores one single point, even for the fastest lap, and he finishes outside the top 10 with the fastest lap, he will be crowned NEF1 champion. It is literally out of Matti's hands tonight. This is gonna be one brutal job, but it was hard for Matti to keep the championship alive last week out in Mexico. It's gonna be even harder for him this time around, but we do have some rain to spice things up. We will be amending the qualifying session for this week, as well as we do have a smaller lobby than anticipated, with a couple of late dropouts as well that we couldn't have foreseen a while ago, which is why we're going to be trying a short qualifying format. Only 18 minutes worth of qualifying in this session to set the pole position time, so the event will be significantly shorter than the one we are usually used to. So then, Djokovic is first out on track, wanting to capitalize on this, and this is only gonna do him even more favors. Djokovic is the best wet weather driver in NEF1. This plays very much into his hands. As said, if Matti retires, Djokovic is champion. If Djokovic scores a point, Djokovic is champion. Matti does not win this race, Djokovic is champion. It is almost a certainty the championship will end here tonight in Brazil for what I believe would be the first time since the inaugural NEF1 season, when Danny ripped it away from Snicksor's hands at this very track in the inaugural season, as previously mentioned. Djokovic then goes steaming into the first corner, into the San Asses in qualifying here for what is going to be a shortened qualifying session, as previously mentioned. Only 18 minutes worth, we're already down to 15. As we got Spenklos in chat cheering on his teammate Squidge as well. Spenklos unfortunately not racing tonight, leaving his teammate up with the sole responsibility of carrying Red Bull over the line at this race late on in the season. Only 2 to go after this one, which will go ahead with the Constructors' Championship battle still ongoing between Aston Martin and Ferrari, having both drivers represented here tonight. Alpine have also got a very good chance now to catch up on both Mercedes and Red Bull in the standings, and are going to do the best to do so. Nasi and ABT have a job ahead of them. As Djokovic then at the end of his first qualifying laps looked relatively pacey. We're going at about a 117 flat, 117.130 is the precise time there. We got Samo Bamo has just started flying lap. Who's coming up to the line? Do we have Noah maybe coming up to the line? Yes, we do, in his McLaren, and it's going to be a 119.020, almost 2 seconds slower than Djokovic. He's going to be disappointed with that time, but Djokovic is incredibly fast in the wet. Can Matti get anywhere close to his championship rival's pace? We'll wait and see. Crucial thing for the Ferrari now, have the second one outscore the second Aston Martin, and outscore Aston Martin in general. The gap's down to about 30 points now. It's within touching distance with 3 races to go. Matti comes across for a 17.539. He's not going to be disappointed with that. About 4/10 of a second slower than Djokovic. Nasi goes even quicker than that, and by a margin, a 16.713. Nasi, calm down, Jesus Christ. And Tess goes even faster with a 16.622. wow, wow, wow. Those are some pacey times. As Wigan here is going to come across the line. Can it go faster than Samo? Yes, he does, by about a tenth of a second precisely, which is all. This is all that Aston Martin has to do at the moment. Finish ahead of Ferrari for the next 2 races, probably. They'll have this championship wrapped up by the time that we get to Abu Dhabi on the 11th of November. Sywat's now going through the Senna S's and onto the back straight. This is where we saw a lot of really weird racing action last season out with the ERS system that was on last year's game. Basically, you just everyone overtook each other lap on lap. And for the lead as well, the lead switched every single lap, and it was impossible to defend from on that second ERS straight. It's a bit of a weird one, but we'll see if that has now been fixed with this new ERS system on this new game. And a game that's about halfway into its life cycle already, and it's actually gone by pretty quick. Live support for this game has now ended, which is a bit of a shame. But they're focusing on hopefully better things for 25, and God help us if that game is not received better than this one. Note that I said received and not is better than this one, because I don't think this game is as horrendous as people say it is. But the reception of it was awful. Here we go, Van Iwatts comes across the line for an 18.261, good enough for P9 into the top 10 then, just edging down their styler spot by a couple of tenths of a second. A beat is still in the pit lane, and Ipsk Dude is on his outlap. As the track is significantly drying up here, and that might actually have had something to do with Tess's and Nassi's lap being that much better than Djokovic, as Matt is now improved to 16.8, so I think we can confirm that the track conditions are significantly improving now, as Nassi's improved up to 16.135, Djokovic is out there as well. It is going to give us a decent indicator of how quick Djokovic truly is. Tess improved to 15.979, and is Djokovic going to be able to challenge that? We will have dry running towards the end of this session. These early intermediate laps probably won't stand for much. Djokovic goes second fastest, about a tenth slower than YPC Tess. And I'm sure Djokovic would have preferred for this session to remain wet. But as said, basically no pressure on Djokovic at the moment now for the Drivers' Championship. Sam Obama is now going through Sector 2 at a track that looks almost completely dry. Is there any spray coming off those cars? I don't think there is. Has the track dried out that incredibly quickly? Are we already under dry track conditions here at Interlagos? After it stopped raining about a lap ago, does it dry up that quickly? Sam Obama's a second and a half slower, probably meaning he's on the wrong tyre, and that, yep, soft tyres on BT's car. And that would explain why he's not come out yet. 9 minutes to go here. And not a lot has been going on. Ipsk Dude has not come into the pit lane for whatever reason, because those inters are going to be absolutely useless in these dry track conditions. So I don't think there's a point to him completing this one. As yellow flags now in Sector 2. That was the RB of Iwatts just triggering a yellow there for a moment, and I would imagine it's quite easy to do so with conditions being the way they are. I wonder if it's going to be raining for the Grand Prix. It's information I'm not privy to at the moment, but that certainly would spice things up a bit. As Iwatts, I was looking at the comment section for just a moment there, but it sounded like Iwatts just found his way into a wall for a very brief moment there. As no one's come out on their dry weather tyres yet, but I think we can confirm that the inters are no longer the optimum tyre to be on. So having gotten that out of the way, we're going to report from a beat now that it's a dry Grand Prix. That's a bit of a shame. So then, no one is yet out. They're still out on intermediate still. 7.5 minutes to go, and he's struggling to make it round on those tires. As here we go. Now we got 1 car, 2 car, 3 cars out on soft tires. We got Squidge. We have... Can't see who that is coming out of the pit lane. I think it's the McLaren of Noah and a Ferrari of perhaps Matty R16. Yes, it is. So lap times are going to be rapidly decreasing. So this is going to be an interesting one. As YPC Test has been disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane exit. Now, I want a view of that, please. Well, that is going to be him relegated to the back of the field. That is going to be then YPC Test starting right at the very back, promoting Djokovic up to provisional pole position. As Noah then at the end of this lap is going to take provisional pole position. The question is who's going to be there to challenge him. Nasi is rapid in qualifying conditions. Djokovic as well. Matt, is he going to be able to surprise anyone? At the moment, Noah has been doing a... What is Noah doing? So Noah's not going to be a provisional pole position. Matty Adam is at the end of this lap then. Here we go, first dry lap of the session is now just waiting a little bit for that lap to come right at the very end of the session when conditions are as they want. 5.5 minutes to go. You can go out with about 2 minutes remaining on the clock here and get a lap in. From what I can see, Zamobama's actually done the same, but he's been on the intermediates, hasn't he? This is a weird qualifying session at the moment. This is a really weird qualifying session right now, so we'll wait and see what goes on. Matty Adam 16 then, it's a little bit twitchy going through Sector 2, and the grip just is not quite there yet at the moment. Yellow flags going through Sector 3, that is Wigan making its way around his outlap. And you can see Matty's car's just twitching all over the place. The question is, do you abandon this run and go for a new one on the next go, because this is not a good lap for Matty, this, and he's twitching all over the place. That track is incredibly damp. I think we are going to see Matty abandoning this run. So the question is then, who gets this track warmed up? Wiggins just now improving, but he's not improving by a lot at all. But it is clear that the intermediates are not going to be a faster tyre at this stage in qualifying. BT's still in the pit lane. Didn't we see BT do this in America just 2 weeks ago? Leaving it right till the very end and it costing him, unfortunately. Then again, I don't think a banker lap does much for you at this stage of the qualifying session, but we'll wait and see. 3:52 to go, and people have got to start coming out on track and getting their tires heated up and that track a little bit drier, as we might have Wigan jump up the field here. Nasi's at the fastest lap of the session, but it's just marginally quicker than Djokovic's previous best. His DRS has now been enabled, which usually means the track is completely dry and up to scratch. Wigan just 1.5 tenths slower than Nasi 31 right now. Here we go, and the track is dry. iWatts is improving by 7 tenths of a second in the first sector alone. So that's how quickly the track fires up. 3 minutes to go. Everyone's going to want to come out at the same time. Oh, but he does get wiggly for iWatts in that second sector, and that's still not quite dry. That is still incredibly tricky. It's going to be hard to hook up a lap here. Let's wait and see if that changes over the next 3 minutes. If we have any rainfall from now to the end, that'd be really interesting, wouldn't it? iWatts is still fastest, and I think this is going to result in the fastest lap of this session so far. The thing with NASA now, he's got to be fuel for 2 runs, or he might not make it. As he's not fuel for 2 runs, but he's going to be in a hurry to get this done. Iwat's fastest lap of the session so far, and whomever waits longest here might just be on pole position. Whomever waits the longest. Matty, not yet come out. Samo, not yet come out. Squidge hasn't come out, and Ibiti has not come out. He's blocked by his teammate at the moment, which could be a disaster for him. They need to get the Mercedes out of the way, and quite quickly, because now you do need to get out there. 2 minutes to go. At least a 1 minute 30 for an outlap. At least. We need to start seeing movement down at Mercedes, and we do see movement down at Mercedes, but it's still going to be relatively close for ABT, but it's going to make it. Just got to get a move on. Ipsdude now up to P3 at 16.00, and Nassi's not going to make this. They're taking the wheels of that car. Oh, this is going to be very touch and go for Nassi. Let me tell you that. This is going to be incredibly touch and go. As here we go then. Now, one of the favourites for pole position is Djokovic, depending on what Nassi's able to do. Iwat at the moment on provisional P1. He's going into the pit lane. Unfortunately, not fuel for 2 runs. He should have been. Djokovic, 7 attempts in the first sector alone, but it's not purple. Now then, through sector 2, how much grip can his car provide for him? Matty has just now started his flying lap. Just a little bit behind. Wigan has improved the fastest lap by 2 seconds on Iwatts. Has hooked that second sector up, and Jesus, that is a gain. Which means Iwatts will probably be starting last. And that is how brutal this is going to be. And it makes it even more crucial that Nassi makes it through here. 25 seconds ago. It's going to be close for Nassi, but I think he's just going to make this. Djokovic now is going to cross the line. The question is he going to get one more lap in? He's not. Noah, 112.438. Djokovic, what is it going to be? Not fast enough. Now, is Nassi going to make it through here? Just a couple of seconds to go. Is going to be almost on the second, but he does make it through. And Nassi now in a brilliant position to take pole position away from Noah, who's on provisional P1 by a tenth over Djokovic. Djokovic did not have the best of laps. Noah at the moment is the man to beat. Matty, purple through sector 2. Is he going to be able to do anything about this whatsoever? Where is Squidge? He's coming up behind. He's coming out of final corner just now, and he's being followed by Samo Bamo. Where's Matty going to go? P1 it is by 2 tenths of a second. Squidge, what's he going to be able to do? 4 seconds up. Quick maths, I can't quite do it in my head. It is not going to be good enough. P4 for Squidge. P4 for Samo. Goes faster than the Red Bull. Wigan is not going to improve. Darren is coming across the line now. What's he going to be able to do? P6 for him. Nassi, how much is he improving by? Coming up to the sector split. This needs to be good. This needs to be excellent. And it is so far. ABT, what's he able to do around this track that we've not seen him at for quite a while? Noah improves up to provisional pole position past Matty Adam. ABT goes up into only P9. It didn't quite work out for him. Had a moment, and it's going to be towards the back. Nassi, is he going to be able to do it? Yes, he is. And by the slimmest of margins, 600ths of a second. He denies Noah pole position in Brazil. It is a Mercedes on pole position. It is Nassi 31. Welcome back to New Year once again. But it is close between him and Noah. Oh, and if Noah just got one exit, just that little better, he could have been there, but not quite. Matty in P3, Djokovic in P4, with Samo in P5, Squidge in P6, followed by Darren in 7th, Wigan in 8th, Iwatts in 9th, BT in P10, Ipsdude in P11, and Tess disqualified for blocking the pit lane exit. That's a bit of a weird one, but that's a weird that's an exciting end to qualifying. But timing was so crucial. Had Nassi been held for 5 seconds longer, Jesus Christ. That very well could have been Noah's first pole position this season, maybe in NEF1 if I'm not mistaken, but it just was not quite meant to be. Nasty then, 600ths of a second he takes pole position by in the end over Noah 48 and Matty Adams 16. Still a lot of white and red on those top 3 flags. Then we have Djokovic, Samo, Squidge, Turnstile, Wigan, Watson beat in the top 10. Ipsk Dude and Tess P11 and P12. So then we are going to be going to a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. The race is going to get underway relatively soon. So don't go anywhere. This race could be championship deciding. We'll be back with you in a couple of minutes' time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Alright then everyone, we are back and the ready up has been given. We are going to get going in just a few moments time. As per said, for what could be then the championship deciding race for the driver's side of this season. All Djokovic has to do is score a single point, and it doesn't matter what Matty does, even if he wins this race. It will not matter. Djokovic, one single point, and he is champion. So then Nasi on the formation lap takes the lead over Noah and Matty. Djokovic in P4, Samo P5, Squidge in P6, followed by Darren, Wigan, Watson, ABT, Ipsdude and Tess in 12th is stationary on the grid. Nasty van in that Mercedes. I'm sure Matty would have wished he never left right now, because boy oh boy does Ferrari need those points over Aston Martin in the constructors, but right now they get them. Matty and Samo are outscoring Djokovic and Wigan, and realistically Matty might have just binned the drivers off at this point and decided that the constructors, that is well within reach now, and it is what we're going for. Samo is going to be highly motivated to beat Wigan out in the points as well. So let's see, that's going to be a battle to keep our eyes on over the next 40 laps or about. Not quite 40 laps, but not far off. What is it around here? Is it 36 laps if I'm not mistaken? Possible race strategies, then it's a simple one-stop soft to medium or soft to hard according to the game. It's quite a couple of soft tyres on the starting grid. If not, there is medium tyres on that starting grid. So not a high-deck race this. It is going to be flat-out racing till the end of this one. This track does burn a little bit of fuel. Not too bad, but ERS harvesting is going to be ever so crucial as we all line up here on the starting field. Ipsdude lining the rear, and along with YPT, Tess, ABT and iWatts on the row ahead of them. Matty and Djokovic on that second row. They're going to be able to jump a couple of places here on the start. We'll wait and see, but it is Nasi who's going to take P1. It is 5 red lights. And it is lights on, away we go. Nasi gets away well. He gets away very well. And leaves the field behind. Matty, though, is coming up to him, but he's not going to be quite enough. Nasi holds the lead of the Grand Prix from Matty. Djokovic, Noah has a bad start, down 2 positions, and Matty's there already challenging on the inside, going through the sweeping left-hander, and Tess remains stationary and is disqualified from the race for being parked in a dangerous location. That is Tess out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Nasi hosts the lead of Grand Prix from Matty, Djokovic, Noah, Samo, Squidge, Darren Stahl, Wigan, iWatts, BT and Ipsdude. Not a lot of positions change here on the start, but Matty and Djokovic up 1 place each on Noah, who's down 2 and has not had the best start to the Grand Prix that he could have been wishing for. But now, crucially, Nasi, Matty, Djokovic won't be having to look behind them for the rest of this race. And Wigan is moving on iWatts, who keeps taking the position away from him. And here comes BT as well. Nasi fastest lap at the Grand Prix. And we're going almost not 3 wide, but doing a freeway battle into the fast corner as BT just outbreaks himself a little bit and gets very close to making contact with iWatts going through the second part of the Senna S. And Matty now very much on the back of his former teammate Nasi 31. Djokovic is in P3 at the moment and would be crowned champion if things remain the way they are, and would be the first 3-time champion in NEF1. He's the only 2-time champion in NEF1 and can extend that gap. So it's looking like we're going to have a 3-way battle for this win. Nasi, Matty and Djokovic. Slightly different strategies, and Matty needs to get a move on here. Needs to shake Nasi. The question is, how does he do that in order to get the most out of his soft tyres here? Djokovic is right on his chuff, and he needs to lose him as well. Realistically, it doesn't matter what Matty does as long as Djokovic is running in P3, and now Matty's going to have a go at Nasi, and it's going to have that move done by the time we get to turn 1. No contest there. Zamo's going to have a go at Noah down the inside of the center. Says Noah's going to come back around the outside, turns it to the inside for the second one. And that's a good defense from Noah, who maintains position. And now Squidge is round the chuff of Samo, who's round the chuff of Noah. Might we go free wide here? No, but Samo takes Noah round the outside heading into turn 4, and that's a nicely executed move, and that's the virtue of patience. Samo then up to P4, and Ferrari at the moment are taking a lot of points out yet again on Aston Martin, as Wiggins all the way down to P10 and has not gotten going in this Brazilian Grand Prix quite yet. We'll wait and see how he gets on. It's dude about 2 seconds behind the pack. Djokovic then pushing on. Nasi now crucial that he maintains a healthy gap to Matty. But the question is, how hard do you want to race him on those medium tires? The dude needs to go a little bit longer into this race. Projected to be dry throughout. It does look cloudy, but I don't think we're going to have any rain necessarily quite yet, as Wiggins going to pass Darren Stahl now for P9. And Samo's already got a 3-second time penalty for track limit warnings. And by the way things are looking around, those could prove crucial, as Samo is coming up on the back of Noah and takes the position away. And Djokovic is taking a position away from Nasi now. And it's up to P2 and going to go after Matty. Djokovic would love to seal this championship with a win here tonight. A Djokovic who maybe has just started relaxing a little bit, getting a little bit complacent. The result hasn't quite been coming for him over these last couple of races. We would love to change that here in Brazil, and it's a track that he's comfortable at as well. You can see that in the way he's driving. He is putting Matty under real pressure now, and there's a tyre deficit here to keep in mind as well. Djokovic is on a worse race tyre, or is on a slower tyre than Matty for the time being. That is soon going to switch over. But here we go. Djokovic on lap 5 out of 36 is going to send it down inside into turn 1. Matty's going to try around the outside, but it is not going to work, and Djokovic's going to have that position. Matty now is going to get some defensive DRS or attacking DRS on the next raid, or has that gone by? No, Matty's going to come. Oh, that's aggressive from Matty Adam 16, who goes down the inside heading into turn 4 and takes the position back from Djokovic. And this is the precise thing that we had last season, and I think Nasi was involved in that battle, maybe Ondrejek and Djokovic. I think it was maybe Nasi and Ondrejek that time out that just kept swapping positions in the first corner and then again into the fourth corner. You need to attack into turn 4. You can't attack into turn 1 because that defensive DRS is strong, even on this game, especially with the battery deployment here as well. And we'll see how long it takes for these drivers to figure that out, because if you keep attacking into turn, turn 16, 17, if you keep attacking into turn 1, you're going to maybe lose the position into turn 4 yet again. You won't have a lap to build a defensive margin over. So we'll see here. Has Djokovic learned his lesson? He's right on the back of Matty. Is he going to go for it? No, he does not. And now we'll see if Djokovic can power by heading into turn 4. It's only taking him a lap if that's the case, unless he's listening to me, which is technically the rule specified that he should. Here we go then, on Matty Adam. He's going to have to go a long way round, but Matty's not going to fight that one overly hard, and Djokovic takes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 6 out of 36. And Noah's now acting roadblock for Samo and BT. BT is trying to force his way past Samo and does so. Now is Iwat's going to get anywhere near that? No, Samo going to send it quite aggressively down the inside of a BT. And is he maybe going to be able to make that stick? No, not quite, but he's still right on the Mercedes. But not quite this time around. But a BT now with over a second up to Noah. That little battle, and Iwat's is right there as well, getting a better X than Zamo. And now Iwat's is going to have a brilliant go at a BT, and a BT will almost appear stationary. That's Iwat's up to P6. thank you and goodbye, says the Jamaican. And now P6 for him. He's going to try to chase off the Noah. It's crucial that it doesn't let this pack of Squidge and Noah get away from him. Then iWatts could be very vulnerable with the upright pace of a BT and Samo, potentially being just slightly higher than that of iWatts. We'll wait and see how this all ensues. We're on lap 7, so it's going by rather quickly at the moment. It's not going to be a race that takes a significant amount of time. This Djokovic still ahead of Matty by about 4/10 of a second, and Nassi's right there as well. And this is going to be a long race between these three. There's no point to really rush those battles and maybe have an incident as Nassi just gets a bit of a tank slapper on coming out of Sector 2. But they are breaking away from Squidge 2017 by a little bit every lap. As Matty now is acting interested in the Aston Martin of Djokovic, and then decides to just play casual a little bit and try to maybe force Djokovic to go a bit sideways through the center S's, and then go all in on a massive attack down the back straight, down the inside into turn 4, and is he going to be able to make that work? Yes, he might just be. Djokovic around the outside. Is he going to be able to hold that? Yes, he is. And that's a defensive work from Djokovic to be able to keep Matty at bay. Excellent driving. Matty still there. Djokovic needs to leave a cast width here. And the two side by side. And it's this ever so satisfying looking at battles throughout this track. They're still technically side by side. Now Djokovic pulls ahead. But that is a battle and a half from Matty. But it's allowed Nassi into the conversation as well around the outside. And Matty now a bit compromised if he wants to follow Djokovic through, because Nassi has the inside. And into the penultimate corner. This has been a lap of side-by-side action from Matty. What could have been P1 is now P3. But that is the way this race is going to go. Djokovic would have loved that, because it's given him just that bit of breathing room. And it has also taken a lot out of Canadian. It's also taken a lot out of Matty Adams 16 that lap, and you can visually see it. The gap now 0.8 of a second is this, where Matty maybe just needs to play it a bit calm and let the race come to him, maybe with an undercut or something like that in a couple of laps time, because he is going to get that undercut. The question is, how strong is it going to be and where is it going to come out? At the moment, probably plumb last, which is good for Matty. That's a good thing. We'll then have a lot of clean air to run in. Djokovic then in the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix of Nassi 31 and Matty Adams 16. Squidge and Noah in a little bit of a battle for P4. Then we have iWatts defending from Samo, Wigan, Darren style. Ipston Beatty bit further behind us. Beatty been into the pit lane, or has he just made a mistake? No, a little bit of a mistake somewhere from a Beatty has triggered that gap. As Nassi now on Djokovic acts uninterested for turn 1, he's going to act very interested for the second stage of this little battle. But I want to look at this. Noah and Squidge will keep an eye on if Nassi can get close to Djokovic. I don't think he can on this very attempt. No, he can't. And neither can Noah on Squidge here. A bit of a calmer face at the Grand Prix right now as Samo's trying to make it past Wigan. The two make slight contact. I think Wigan almost a bit pulled out of that little battle, didn't want to risk any further contact after a bit of a weird wheel bump on a straight. Ferrari 2021 vibes, so is it 2020 vibes with, would be 2020, wouldn't it, with Charles and Seb. Not even 2019, I can't remember which year it was. I think it was 2019 now, thinking back at it perhaps. That's silly contact between the two. On that very piece of straight, Wigan now on the back of Samo Bamo yet again, see if we can get past into turn 1. As Nassi again, 4 attempts behind, 3 attempts behind Djokovic. Matty's still involved in that little battle, but it's just fallen back that little bit, and Wigan's now going down the inside of Samo Bamo. Sam's going to have to masterfully place that car if he wants to keep this position, because here goes Samo down the inside, and I don't think there's too much Wiggins going to be able to do about this one. He's going to go down to the braking zone, where Samo is just that bit more on edge. Then Wiggins able to take the position back, and tell you who's not enjoying this race, might be enjoying this race, running in P6, is iWatts, but it's going to be a bit bored right now. Second and a half down to Zamobamo, and 4 seconds up to Noah. Squidge as well is past the McLaren still, running about 3 seconds behind the Ferrari, and it's now started to close the gap a little bit because those softs have started to fall off. And the gap that was 4 seconds a couple of laps ago now down to 2.8, 2.9 now. Matty now outside the DRS zone on Djokovic, as Nassi has taken the lead away from the soon-to-be three-time NEF1 champion. Further way through this Grand Prix, no sign of an incident, no sign of a safety car. As Djokovic down the inside of Nassi here. Nassi's not going to fight that one overly hard. But what this might allow is is Matty back into the conversation. 3.5 seconds now to gap for Squidge after some sort of a mishap probably from the Red Bull driver. Still up in a P4. As Darren, 3-second time penalty for multiple track limit warnings. And those are going to start racking up now in the next coming laps. Two races to go, and after this, it is COTA next week on what will be the 4th of November, wouldn't it? Day before the American election, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on the 11th of November. Stay tuned for those ones, because from the look of things right now, it looks like the constructors might be going down to that final race. So that's going to be an interesting one. For the first time in a little bit of time, that the constructors has been settled in Abu Dhabi. So Noah's now started bothering Squidge a little bit, and I think that's why Squidge is now losing time on Matty. Now 3.7 seconds, so it's lost a second over the last 2 laps. Has Squidge 2017, so that's not quite going his way. Wiggin is still on the back of Samo, Bam, and those two aren't leaving each other's tail at all. But they are just slightly catching iWatts, as Samo gets a bit uncomfortable coming out of the middle of Sector 2. As Dominic Go-Kart is saying, get Squidge into the presidential battle. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? At the moment, he's losing out in his battle to Noah. And Sam was losing out to his battle with Wiggin, but he's going to have a chance to come back coming out of turn 3 then. Through turn 1 and 2, and then a long sweeping left-hander of turn 3. And Wiggin has pulled ahead of Samo quite substantially here, and Samo's not going to be able to come back at him on this attempt. BT still in this battle, but he's quite a way behind. He needs a decent undercut here. Speaking of undercut, when is Matty going to exercise his? When is Matty going to pull the trigger? There's a low chance of a safety car here, in my opinion. Not a lot of cars, no real intense battle. It's always intense, this, but it's never gotten out of hand once this race so far. Which would be what Matty might be fearing when going in for a pit stop here, is that safety car. And Matty is triggering the undercut now on lap 14, 15 out of 36, quite early. Actually, he's not. He's done 14 laps on the set. He'll need to do about 20 laps on the set of mediums. That shouldn't be too hard for him. So Matty now is triggering the undercut, and he should be coming out in lead of this Grand Prix, and he will. Is that Wiggin or is that Djokovic? That's Djokovic who's lost it. Going through with San S as Nassi's in the lead of the Grand Prix as Matty goes into pit for us at a hard time. Matty, that is conservative, buddy. That is very conservative, unless you know something that I don't. on the hard spectacular race tire. Oh, that's going to be an interesting call. Djokovic has dropped it going through Sanas. The question is, did he make contact with Nassi? Or was that an unforced error? Because now Noah's on him as well. And Djokovic is still sliding all over the place. His tire is probably still quite hot. And is this the place then when Djokovic responds with a pit stop on his own to get rid of that medium tire? Just try to reset his own race and recover. He's still ahead of Noah on track, which means he's still running in a virtuous P3. Because Matti is going to be ahead of him. Djokovic now, really with nothing to lose here. See what kind of pace he can pull out. Is he coming in? Yes, he is. Question is then, does he have an amount of front wing damage on that Aston Martin? Matti then is going to jump his championship rival Djokovic. But right now Djokovic is doing everything he needs to. New tyres going on to the Aston of Djokovic, and it is hard tyres going on. Now then, this is leaving Nas in a bit of an awkward spot. Needs to pit within the next couple of laps or it'll drop a position to Djokovic regardless due to that hard tyre. Should probably be quicker than the mediums at this stage. We'll keep an eye on that gap for the next lap or two. So this is going to be interesting as well. Who pulls the trigger first between Squidge and Noah? And does anyone dare to do something different? I think that Djokovic... I understand why Djokovic came in early, and I kind of wanted him to, or it made sense for him to. But it is one of these four front guys. Maybe even makes sense for Samo to try something here. Try to go a medium to soft strategy instead of a medium to hard, as Djokovic just did. Should only have to hold on for about 4 or 5 more laps in those mediums, which should be very doable, even if it's just a bit hard in those last couple of laps, and Noah flies down inside a Squidge. A lot of respect between these two, and Noah takes the position away from the Red Bull. Noah's gonna go in these last couple of races, hasn't he? A couple of decent performances here, and Ver, after having a little bit of a more difficult time this season than last time out now, starting to look like the Noah with P2 in qualifying here, and right now running in P3 or 4. It's a bit uncertain in regards to Djokovic, but he should be undercutting him. So say P4 from Noah at the moment. But it's still a good result. It's a 12 points into McLaren's and his personal championship tally. And Noah then comes into the pit lane, and this gives Squidge now a bit of room to try something should he want to. We're at halfway distance through this Grand Prix now, lap 18 out of 36. Djokovic now fastest lap of the Grand Prix. That's concerning for Nassi, if nothing else. That is concerning news for Nassi, if nothing else. He might be forced into making a pit stop here for a strategy he doesn't really want to cover off Djokovic. Because realistically, the hard could be quite a good race here. If Nassi bolts onto a set of soft tyres, how long is it going to be before those softs are on the same level as Djokovic's hards? And how much is Nassi going to have to recover by? This is hard. If Nassi pits now, he'll come out ahead of Djokovic still, but behind Matti. Nassi should have the overall pace on Matti, though, to catch up to him. He stays out for another lap, does Nassi 31. But it is an interesting strategic situation, this for Nassi. Does he stay out or does he go in? Squidge realistically would stay out. Doesn't have as much to lose at the moment as Nassi does. Nassi, I'm sure, would love another win this season. Right now, he could be heading towards one if he plays his cards right here. Matti could be heading for a second win this season as well. A Matti that looked down and out, that sounded down and out when Nassi came back to NEF1, saying he was very glad he got his win in Singapore because his chances of one were gone after that. But Matti very much in contention here with Nasty 31 right now, and that undercut is kicking in. Crucial for Matty now is that Nasty comes out behind Djokovic. If those two get locked into a battle, then Matty might just be able to hold on to this one. That is worth for Nasty to consider as well. $20 out of 36. And it's a Noah who pitted on lap 18. Is going to have to do 18 laps on a set of soft tires, and that's going to be hard for him. I'm not sure it's a good move. But it's also a situation now where Noah's on so good a tire that Nasty might have to watch his undercut. Because Noah's catching at quite a good rate. And surely Nasty's not going to hold on much longer. Surely he's going to start coming in within this lap or lap 21. There we go on lap 20 out of 36. Staying out for yet another lap whilst Noah's taken over a second out in less than a lap. And Nasty's playing a dangerous game here right now. And it's at this stage I would love to know exactly how long a pit stop takes. So then as the gap to Matty decreases and or grows, depending on the way you see it, Noah's closing in. Djokovic is probably now undercutting Nasty even with that incident in turn 1 and 2. How long does Nasty leave this? How long can he afford to leave it? Even longer. So Nasty's putting himself in a situation where he's going to have very fresh tires at the very end, or he's just waiting and waiting for a safety car to maybe come out towards the middle stages of this race. Now we're past the middle stages of this race and just about to enter the third phase with about 14 laps to go here. So Nasty, Squidge, Matty, Djokovic and Noah at the moment are the top 5. No other battles really going on. This is a bit like Australia where everyone's a bit spread out. And it's gonna get interesting now that Nasty makes his pit stop. But until then... Dominic, that is just, unfortunately, just one of the things you deal with every now and again, especially this race as well. A couple of late dropouts, and it does happen towards the end of the season. I think it should be rectified for next week out in Qatar. Just a bit unfortunate that it happened around Brazil. Nasty then comes into the pit lane on lap 22-23 out of 36. And now, how effective has maybe even Noah's undercut been? Let's wait and see. It's going to be crucial for Nasty to get out ahead of Noah, or he might cause a bit of trouble. And if Noah can get out ahead of Nasty, how inclined is he going to be to fight the Mercedes? It's going to be close between them, but I think Nasty might just be able to get it. Actually, no, it's going to be very close, but Nasty just comes out ahead. Oh, and just a bit of wheel spin. I know I would have been ahead of Nasty if I had judged perfection, but now Nasty with a couple of seconds up to Djokovic and even more seconds up to Matty. but he's got very fresh tyres on. Matty now actually in a rather good position to win this Grand Prix unless Nassi can pass Djokovic and then break away. And tell you what, Nassi is a man on a mission at the moment, sending a purple sector immediately. And where's Sam Obama gone off this race? Currently sitting in P9, not really being able to get anything done. Darren and Iwatts then, and Darren up to P6. I was not really able to do anything about it, but can he make another 12 laps, 22 laps on a set of mediums, Darren? It's a tall order, might just be doable. And Nassi has taken about a second out of Djokovic's advantage. And that'll be hoping that Djokovic can just hold on here in that little battle. Djokovic is not catching Matty at the moment. If Djokovic can just hold up Nassi when I get involved into a battle, then Matty will have a chance for the win here. Nassi might just get to him at the dying embers of this race, but he's catching Djokovic at a rate of about a second per lap right now, is Nassi. Which then would mean he has a chance to get out of the DRS advantage, or to get out of the DRS threat. He'll be in striking range in a lap's time about Nassi 31. Question is he maybe even going to have a go in exactly 1 lap's time into that turn 4? We'll wait and see. 1.6 seconds the gap now between Nassi and Djokovic. Djokovic with nothing to lose right now, because right now, as things stand, he is champion of NEF1. However, would he drop out of the points now? Matty would keep this championship alive heading into Qatar, which is further than I think anyone expected this to go, and Matty has stepped it up towards the end of this season. Dominic Goka said, we need to get a commentator in one of these races. I have been in a couple of these races a long time ago, actually. So there's an archive on YouTube on if you want to go have a look. The very first race in NEF1 where I did end up driving for the first couple of times, and a couple of jump-in performances here and there, but nothing consistent since the beginning of Season 1, unfortunately. But I do think I deliver a decent job on commentary, unless you want me out of that role, and anyone else in, potentially. So if anyone wants a commentary role for Season 9, then let me know, and I would happily jump in a race seat for a season. It would be absolutely brilliant, and I would be incredibly slapped up by the top guys, which would hurt my ego just that little bit. Nassi is now within striking range of Djokovic, who is starting to close down the gap on Matty. Matty Adam 16 is his gamer tag now. I was about to say Matty MC 16 for old time's sake, but Matty Adam 16. Djokovic in P2, Nassi in P3 then. And now is the question, is Djokovic going to be able to do anything about this? Wait and see. Matty is going to be hoping for this battle to go on for a little bit of time. Is Djokovic maybe just going to let Nassi pass him here, because he wants a chance at him heading into the next turn? Is that a massive lockup maybe from Matty ahead of them? A lot of tyre smoke. Now, can Djokovic follow Nassi round Sector 1 is the question, or is he even going to try to? Nassi with a good drive and is past Djokovic, and now can he break away over the course of the next lap? If he can, that might be a death sentence for Matty's chance of winning this Grand Prix, because Nassi is flying. But how much life is he taking out of those soft tyres, and how much life is remaining in Matty's hard tyres? That's 12 laps old. That's quite old for a tyre around this track already. But if he's preserving those tyres, this could be an interesting match when Nassi comes up to him, which is still going to take about 4 laps. Djokovic just barely hanging on to the DRS range, but he is still there. It's just another commentator. Just found the idea for you racing commentating at the same time. Funny, I've actually tried that in a league a long time ago, a lot of about 4 years ago now, in a league called LO or RO. What's it called? LOC, ROC, something like that. I've actually tried it. Went horribly, but it was quite fun to just give my perspective on it. But it's hard to get an overview of the entire race when you're racing and commentating at the same time. Here we go, and I was on the back of Darren Style for P6. Darren, who is a further 7 seconds back on Squidge. And no one Squidge are free to settle this little debate as they please. Squidge is on the fresher tyre, but Noah massively jumped him by pitting a bit earlier. So that one's probably going to go down to the last couple of laps. And Nassi's now closing the gap to Matty by, from what I can see, a little less than that second per lap than I was predicting. About 6-7 tenths per lap, which is going to make it take a lap or two longer, probably a lap longer, for Nassi to catch Matty at this rate. And the question is then, can he just go past him the way he did Djokovic? Because Djokovic is right there. Djokovic is right there and might potentially be able to fight this one. And this would be doing Matty a massive favour, because here comes Djokovic. And is he interested in catching Nassi, or is he interested in riding along with Nassi, trying to catch Matty? Djokovic is not a fool. I think he's just going to stick with Nassi here and try to drag himself into this battle and come alive towards the end. And this is worst case scenario for Matty Adam 16, let me tell you that. This is everything that Matty does not need right now. But Nassi's not taking anything out of that lead on this lap. Matty is running this race nicely at the moment. He looks comfortable. We've got 6 laps to go, and there's a decent chance Nassi at this rate does not even catch Matty. We've seen Matty do this towards the end of seasons before. Last season out, after being mediocre for a little bit in the beginning of the season, just came alive and won. Was it the last 2 races last season? Just decided to go and win them in really nice fashion as well. And he just does this every now and again, Matty Adam, and he might just be able to do it now. As here goes Djokovic past Nassi into turn 4, and that is going to allow Matty even more breathing room now, because Nassi's not going to be taking anything out of that lead on this lap either. 3.1 seconds, the gap was 3.4 well over 2 laps ago now. The lead is not being decreased. It now needs to decrease by half a second per lap, and he's not doing that. That's going to get harder every single lap now for Nassi and Djokovic to get up to Matty Adam. This is not the way you want to run a race if you want to have a chance at winning it. Djokovic and Nassi needs to sync up here if they want to fight it out for P1 with Matty. If they're happy for battling P2, keep doing it the way you're doing it. As Nassi on the back of Djokovic and gets a massive tank slapper on, trying to pull out at slipstream. Maybe, I don't know if he took avoiding action from an early break in Djokovic there. That could have ended badly from what I could see from Nassi 31. That could have ended in disaster. And he's not going to be able to get past this lap either. Matty at the moment has this race in his hands. If he can maintain this pace now, he is going to be able to do this. Nassi needs to get past Djokovic. He needs to do it now, because those soft tyres, they're not going to be good for too much longer. Matty got rid of those after 14 laps. We're not going to get up to that age for Nassi, but about 10 laps old, I don't think they'll be any better than the hard tyres. Nassi might not be able to physically get up to Matty on tyres now. 8 lap old softs versus 16 lap old hards. They're not going to be equal, but you're not going to get a massive advantage out of those soft tyres. It's a low deg circuit, it's not massive. but it's still going to be incredibly hard for him. 3.2 seconds now. The gap is growing. It was 3.1 a couple of laps ago. Now it's 3.2. 5 laps to go. Matty in control. Oh, it's Djokovic once again. A turn 1, and it's happened. Once again, an unforced error. Being put under pressure, and now needs to maintain the gap to Squidge here, which is still relatively big, but now that's unleashed Nassi, who is 4 seconds behind. Now needs to be almost a second per lap. The Nassi needs to gain on Matty. The question is, does he try to keep that gap at more than a second, or does he just start charging up his batteries and preparing for the battle that could be coming? This next lap or two is going to pay dividends to that, but Nassi, how much life is in those soft tires? Sam at the moment in P10. He's not getting anything done this race. Question is, he's trying to take a fastest lap point here potentially, or is he stuck in the pit lane, or is he changing his front wing? He's changing his front wing. If Dude at the moment is going to pass him at the swell for P10, Sam must not having a good race at all, but that might just give him the fastest lap point, which could be good for the Scuderia to just maintain the gap, just slightly decrease it, but not massively. 3.8 seconds now the gap. Matty's got this. He's got this well under control if he can keep it mistake free. Now Nassi's doing everything he can, but it is not enough. So then Matty, Nassi, Djokovic is the top 3. Djokovic with a bit of an unforced error through turn 3. Then talking of unforced errors, there's an Alpine going slowly through sector 2. I think Darren's just gotten going again. And Samuel's been getting past Ipsdude as well, so we'll see if that fastest lap point goes on. 3 more laps to go. The gap's over 3.9 seconds. Matty now can ride this home, lose over a second per lap, and still be comfortable. Nassi, his strategy has not worked out. He was not able to bring that gap down by enough, and now Matty's tires are working better. He's building that gap. It was 3.7, it's now 4.1. He's got this locked down, Matty, and it's an absolute brilliant strategy if he can pull this off, which I absolutely believe he will. It's a brilliant strategy if that's the case. It is absolutely astounding what you can do with an undercut and a little bit of luck and a little bit of help, you must be said, from his championship rival Djokovic as well, holding up Nassi for a lap or two there, which might have taken enough out of Nassi's tires to allow him to not catch up. Nassi just waited a lap or two too long because he lost time towards the end of that towards the end of that first stint. He lost too much. He waited too long. Should have boxed earlier along with Djokovic. He should have boxed along with Djokovic for those hard tires. He had the pace over Matty. I think he wanted to try something that he felt was absolutely going to work. It's a bit of a strategy blunder for Nassi, but it's also really, really nicely executed race from Matty R16, and it might be his finest drive this season. It was good in Singapore, it was brilliant at Swell in... it's absolutely brilliant in Silverstone as well, even though it got collected at the safety car restart there. He's had a couple of brilliant drives, Matty, but this has looked like an old school Matty drive. In control, nice, calm, and relaxed, and he's going to come home for his second win this season. Nassi, with a lap and a half to go, did everything he could to stop that, but it wasn't quite enough today. 4.4 seconds behind now, and it's just calming everything down. The question is charging up for maybe a go at the fastest lap point. I think Darren is. Then we have Djokovic, a man who throughout the season has been the definition of consistency. Matty's going to come home to win this race, but Djokovic is going to do something that has never before been done in NEF1. He is the only two-time NEF1 champion. He is going to become the only three-time champion in NEF1, with a record to start off the season with 6 podiums in a row, missing out on a podium in Austria, then continuing with another 4 podiums on the bounce. This was a certainty halfway through this season. Matty's brought it out a long way into the season, and further, maybe 2-3 races further than we were believing a couple of laps or a couple of races ago. But Djokovic, he is relentless, he is a machine, and he is incredibly quick, incredibly smart, and he doesn't make mistakes when it counts. Now has just let himself relax a little bit, but he can, realistically, since the advantage is now too big. Matty did everything he had to do to keep it alive for yet one more week, but it wasn't meant to be. Matty comes home for the Brazilian Grand Prix of Season 6. Nasi is gonna come home for a well-earned P2. Djokovic is gonna come home in P3, but more importantly, he takes the championship in Season 8. He is the first 3-time champion in NEF1. Djokovic, take a bow. What a driver, what a season. Just Jesus Christ again, with 2 races in hand, as well as the biggest margin that we had in NEF1 for quite some time. And you've just got to respect that. Djokovic, you are a 3-time NEF1 Drivers Champion. Well done, mate. Absolutely class drive. Matty Adam, 16, takes what I think might be his 18th NEF1 win. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on it, but extends his win margin this season as well up to 2, and he's going to be incredibly pleased with that. Nasi once again with a brilliant race in his comeback this season. But that's an entertaining Brazilian Grand Prix if I've ever seen one. Low numbers, but you can still put on a show. Brazil, one of those tracks that's just established on the NEF1 calendar as one of the best. Nice little flip there from Matty Adams, 16 as well, to round out his championship hopes. And with this, he also takes another 25 points over YPC Test, which might just solidify his P. I don't think it mathematically solidifies it, but it might just solidify his place in P2 in the driver standings, which we say congratulations to Matty for. And he also takes a little bit out of Aston Martin's points gap in the Constructors' Championship. Whether Wigan did enough to make sure that that didn't actually decrease, I don't yet know. We'll have to do the maths on that later on. But that championship remains very much alive. But the one that doesn't is the Drivers' Championship. And we can now establish, once again, Djokovic, for the 3rd time in any F1 history, is the New Era F1 Esports Champion of Season 8. Greatest driver statistically in NEF1 history. More wins than anyone, more podiums than anyone, more championships than anyone, and more points than anyone. Such a deserved champion, and such a incredibly fun driver to watch as well. And there we can see up on your screen is the confirmation that your Season 8 champion is Djokovic, driving for Aston Martin once again. The Drivers' Championship, guys, may be concluded, but it is not over yet. Then 2 races to go on the 4th and 11th of November for Qatar, and to round it off in Abu Dhabi, 2 races that should provide an absolute banger, so don't miss out on that. We'll be back in about 1 week's time, and for the Qatar Grand Prix, should be an absolutely brilliant one around the Losail circuit. Until then, we say once again congratulations to Djokovic on his championship, congratulations to Matty on his win. We'll see you in 7 days' time when NEF1 returns. Until then, stay safe, have a good one, and peace out.